start with module 5, the second part, digital control systems. So we'll first go for the introduction. Whatever is a signal at every point in the system is a continuous function of time, which is independent variable in the control systems dealt so far. So the controller elements in particular are such that the controller produces continuous time control signals from continuous time input signals. Then it is referred to as an analog controller. There arises severe demands of flexibility, adaptability and optimality as the complexity of a control system increases, and even demands to account for economic control function complexity. Constructing a complex control function may even become technically infeasible if one is restricted to use only analog elements. Then, as the price of digital computers started reducing and their reliability got improved drastically, the use of a digital computer as a compensator, that is controller device, has grown during the past 2 decades. Microcomputers that use a 16-bit word or 32-bit word that are powerful but inexpensive computers have become readily available. Such computers can be equipped with sufficiently large memories to handle a large amount of data in a complex control process. So, the speed of these computers is also increasing, and already systems with a speed as high as 300 megahertz are readily available. Many specific control systems use embedded microcontroller as their heart besides general purpose computers. Such microcontrollers could be either 8-bit or 16-bit depending upon the complexity of the built on chip itself, which greatly reduces the number of components and the complexity of the controller. A digital controller in which either a special purpose computer or a general purpose computer, if used, lends itself to time shared use for other control functions in the plant or process. A digital controller has the versatility that its control function can be easily modified by changing a few program instructions or even the entire program, and a change in instruction can even be accomplished either manually or automatically under control of a supervisory function. The computers are able to receive and manipulate several inputs, so a digital computer control system can often be a multivariable system. Moreover, digital controllers used in digital control systems have the inherent characteristic that they accept the data as short duration pulses, that is sampled or discrete data, and produce a similar kind of output as control system. Now we will take the figure. So I told these all 300 megahertz are available. This is a figure that is going to illustrate the typical system with digital controller, sample data control system. It is a simple control scheme employing a digital controller. So you can see there is a sampler, and the first block is a sampler and ADC, which is needed at the computer input. The sampler converts a continuous time error signal into a sequence of pulses which are then expressed in numerical code such as binary code. Numerically coded output data of a digital computer. So this is digital computer. This block is sample and ADC. This block is digital computer. This is DAC and hold circuit. This is plant continuous time system. Okay, then is it clear? Numerically coded output data of digital computer are decoded into continuous time signal by D to A converter and hold circuit. This continuous time signal then controls the plant, which is a continuous time system. So when we see the overall system is hybrid, in which the signal is in sampled form in the digital controller and in continuous form in the rest of the system. A system of this kind is referred to as a sample data control system. Okay, data system. Sampling is a necessity where a high degree of accuracy is a prerequisite. This case is in most automated machine tools. Okay, for example, if it is required to move the table of a drilling machine within an accuracy of 0.01 mm over a total distance of 1 meter, a resolution of 1 in 1 lakh is needed, that it is impossible to measure using an analog time output transducer, say potentiometer. So that problem can only be tackled by employing a digitally coded output sensor like an output encoder. Sampled data technique is most appropriate for control systems requiring long distance data transmission. Pulse amplitude modulation PAM data is easily transmitted by means of a carrier over a transmission channel and the data reconstructed at the receiving end. So it is said that it is well known that pulses may be transmitted with little loss of accuracy. Data is analog form will suffer considerable distortion in the transmission channel. So using sample data technique, more than one channel of information may be sequentially sampled and transmitted through a single transmission system. So this technique is known as time multiplexing, which decreases the cost of transmission installation. So why should we have signal sampling? It reduces the power demand made on the signal and is therefore helpful for signals of weak power origin. Sampling implies that the signal at the output end of the sampler is available in forms of short duration pulses, each followed by skip period when no signal is available, so that the control system operates open loop during the skip period. So this figure is going to illustrate the uniform sampling. Okay. Before going that, so the circumstances that led to the use of sample data control systems are summarized below. 1. For using digital computer or microprocessor as part of the control loop. Second, for time sharing of control components. Third, whenever a transmission channel forms part of the control loop. Fourth, whenever the output of a control component is essentially in discrete form. So what does this sampling implies? That the signal at the output end of a sampler is available in the form of short duration pulses, each followed by skip period when no signal is available, so that the control system essentially operates open loop during this skip period. Uniform periodic sampling is illustrated in this figure. You can see uniform periodic sampling, which is illustrated in this figure. So it is said that if sampling rate or frequency is too low, significant information contained in the input signal may be missed in the output. Okay, minimum sampling rate has a definite relationship with the highest significant signal frequency, that is bandwidth. Signal bandwidth. Very high sampling rate can be achieved with the availability of high speed computer. Sampling period in some cases may be so small that the system can for all practical purpose be approximated as a continuous time system. Then assuming sample width, that is time as fixed, other forms of sampling are multi-order sampling. A particular sampling pattern is repeated periodically. Multiple rate sampling, in this case two simultaneous sampling operations with different time periods are carried out on the signal to produce a sampled output. Okay, multi-order sampling, multiple rate sampling. Is it clear? Next, random sampling. So in this case the sampling instants are random with a particular kind of distribution. So whatever is a mathematical model of a sampled data control system is essentially in the form of a difference equation. So the analysis and design of sample data systems with linear elements may be effectively carried out by use of Z transform, which was evolved from the Laplace transform as a spatial form, okay, and established in its own space. Next we'll see about spectrum analysis of sampling process. Spectrum analysis of sampling process. So whatever is a sampling process which we have seen in the figure, of uniform periodic sampling. So this figure, whatever we have seen uniform periodic sampling, so the sampling process which is represented in this figure, it is equivalent to multiplying the signal E of t with a periodic pulse train Pt delta t, which has been shown in this figure, to produce the sampled signal. So to produce the sampled signal, you can see here pulse train, okay, Pt delta t. The spectral, also whatever is a spectral analysis of such a sample signal is somewhat The pulse train is therefore approximated by an impulse train with each pulse of strength. You can see with each pulse of strength 1 into delta is equal to delta, which is a pulse area. Okay, the sampled signal is consequently approximated as Es of t is equal to E of t delta dot t of t, where dot t of t is a unit impulse train. Dot t of t is a unit impulse train, and that has been shown in the next figure. I'll show it. Okay, so the time width delta of the pulse sampler merely modifies the strength of impulses. So mathematically dot t of t is equal to Es of t. This I'll take equation 11.2. Es of t is equal to delta E of t summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity delta t dot t minus kt, dou t minus kt. So taking the Fourier transform of above equation, so taking the Fourier transform of this equation, we'll have this. We'll have Fourier transform of Es of t is equal to delta by 2 pi Fourier transform of Et into Fourier transform of delta t minus kt. This is 11.4 equation taken. Okay. But Fourier transform of summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity dou t minus kt is equal to omega s summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity dou omega minus k omega s, where omega s is equal to 2 pi by t, the sampling frequency. So whatever is equation 11.4, it can be written as Es of omega is equal to delta by 2 pi E omega convolution omega s summation k is equal to minus infinity to infinity delta omega minus k omega s. As E omega conjugate delta omega minus k omega s is equal to E omega minus k omega s. So we have Es of omega is equal to delta by t, k is equal to minus infinity to infinity E omega minus k omega s. So this is taken equation 11.6. So whatever is this equation 11.6, it gives a frequency spectrum of the impulse sample signal in terms of the spectrum of input signal. Let E of omega, the spectrum of input signal, be band limited signal with a maximum frequency of omega m, which has been shown in the next figure. So this I was telling you about, where dou t of t is a unit impulse train. So you can see here, no? Where dou t of t is a impulse sampling approximation of pulse sampling. So this I told dou t of t is a unit impulse train. You can see figure. Okay. Then you can see you can see unit impulse train. This one unit impulse train. The distance between the pulses is t, and after sampling you will get this, okay, of pulse sampling. So then I was telling you about the next figure. So this is signal, this is impulse train sample signal. Okay. So what I had told, which has been shown, whatever it is, let E of omega, the spectrum of input signal, be band limited signal with a maximum frequency of omega m. And the frequency spectrum of this signal when impulse sampled is plotted in 11.5b. You can see this. This is A, which is, this is B. Okay, what I had told just now. This is figure B. See, the frequency spectrum of this signal when impulse sampled is plotted. So you can see is plotted in this figure. B for omega s greater than 2 omega m, and in figure C for omega s less than 2 omega. So you can see this is omega s less than 2 omega m. You will get this. Okay, and this is omega s greater than 2 omega m. Okay, then what it is observed that it is that as long as omega is greater than or equal to omega m, the original spectrum is preserved in the sampled signal and can be extracted from it by low pass filtering. This is well known Shannon's sampling theorem, according to which the information contained in a signal is fully preserved in the sampled version so long as the sampling frequency is at least twice the maximum frequency contained in the signal. Next we will see about signal reconstruction. Signal reconstruction. Signal reconstruction. So whatever is the sample data that has been modified by digital controller which has been transmitted over channel, it must be converted into analog form for use in the continuous part of the system which is accomplished by means of various types of hold circuits which are known as extrapolators. The simplest hold circuit is a zero order hold ZOH, in which the reconstructed signal acquires the same value as the last received sample for the entire sampling period. The schematic diagram of sampler and Z and H is shown in this figure. So I'll show. This is E of t, E of t, E of t, E of t, which is E of t. Then this is Es of t. This is Es of t, you can see. Es of t. This is ZOH, zero order hold. This is reconstructed signal. Here there is a time period t. This is t time period. Okay, constructed. This then. So where the high frequencies present in the reconstructed signal are easily filtered out by the controlled elements of the system, which are basically low pass in frequency behavior. So in a first order hold, the last two samples in a first order hold, the last two signal samples are used to reconstruct the signal for the current sampling period. Similarly, higher order holds can be devised. First or higher order holds offer no particular advantage over the zero order hold. The simple zero order hold, when used in conjunction with a high sampling rate, provides satisfactory performance. So you can see this figure. Es of t, original signal, sampled signal, output of ZOS, reconstructed signal, you can see. Then this is a original signal. This is the original signal. This is a reconstructed signal. Is it clear? So I'll stop here. You see about this. Understand. In next lecture I'll take about difference equations.